pretty swell.
Those petty ones can't fuck with me.
Why?
Cause I'm a clever girl. We snapping.
Pretty place.
Tom's Place. We wanna welcome you to the Beyonce Cowboy Carter Act 2 and a rodeo chillin' circuit. We gonna make it do what it do, yeah, yeah. Put them hands together. We clapping.
Hello you guys, welcome back to Lily Reads. In today's video, we have a themed vlog. It's so crazy because every time I come and talk to you guys, I'm like, I'm done with themed vlogs. I want my reading to be organic, and then I come with a themed vlog. But here is the thing. I am doing this themed vlog because I have to do it because I've been putting it off for 2 years. For 2 years, I've been wanting to do this theme of vlog, and I've just never done it. Now, this is not original. I have seen other people do this. I haven't watched the videos, but I know they exist. I want to do, as you can see by the title, a BookTube rewind, where I go back and read books that were popular on BookTube at some point in time that I kind of just bought and like never read. I just never read, got my hands on them and just never read them. It's just like, I feel like if you're someone who's watched BookTube for years or you put videos on BookTube, like most people have read these and I just haven't read them. So I have 4 books for that. The first book I have is, I think, the newest book out of all of these, and that is The Midnight Library. This book has gotten a second life in the past, I think, year and a half. A lot of people have been talking about this book, but when this book first came out, baby, everybody and their mama was reading it. Everyone was picking it up, and I got my hands on it, but I never read it. It's not usually a type of book that I pick up. I don't really pick up books like this. We'll read it and see if that's the truth. But what I think this book is books that I don't really pick up. So I am excited to read this book. It's the first book we are going to read in this video. The next book is probably the scariest book. This book, I probably, if I didn't already own it, I would not read it. But because I already own it, I am going to read it, and this book has been in my library for a while, and I've been wanting to unhaul it for a while, but something stopped me, and I feel like maybe that's a sign. That's a sign that I'm meant to read this book, because every time I go to get rid of it, I'm just like, I might like it. The Night Circus. The Night Circus is a book that hit the BookTube community by a storm when it came out. I don't even know when this book came out, a long time ago. And everyone loved it, but I never, came out in 2010. I never read it. And so I got my hands on it. I want to see, does the Night Circus hold up? So that's 2 things we're going to learn with this. We're going to learn if I like the book and does it hold up? Or was this just a book of its time? Because in that time, I feel like a lot of books of that time, like we were kind of just not, we hadn't really acquired taste yet. Because I think taste comes with time and taste comes with cultivation and really like trying things out. So we were willing to give books high ratings that probably didn't deserve them. So I wonder if this is a book that stands the test of time. I have not really seen a lot of people pick this book up like recently. Maybe it did. It kind of did have a resurgence on TikTok though. Maybe. I don't know. The Night Circus. The next book we are going to read is Vicious. To me, this is a quintessential BookTube book. If you were on BookTube when this book came out, you know that this book took the BookTube world by storm. Everybody and their mom was reading this book in 2013. Like, this book was just that book. People act like it was a second coming of literature. This is on everybody's end of the year list, people's favorite books of all time. But I feel like since then, though, in the past, like, 5 years, nobody really talks about Vicious. There was a sequel that came out that I don't even care how good this book is. I will not be reading Vengeful. I'm just not, sorry. And I think maybe that kind of took some of the wind out of its sails. But I am so excited to read this book. I really like this cover. There was a different cover, I think, when this book originally came out, but this is the cover I got, and this to me is a pretty cover. So, but this could have been the cover the entire time. I don't know. Anyways, last one. You really had to be on BookTube to remember when this book had its heyday. Like, you really had to be in the trenches. Radio silence. Do we remember the radio silence era? This is another book that I feel like no one talks about anymore. Like, no one talks about, but like when this book first hit the scene, baby, everybody and they mama was talking about this book, and now no one talks about this book at all. But it was so loved by so many people, and I still to this day don't have any clue what this book is about. And this book is almost like a decade old. I am excited to read this book. And those are the 4 books that we are going to be reading. And yeah, let's get on into the vlog. You guys, I officially have thoughts on our first book. The first book we are reading is The Midnight Library. The dust jacket is off because I've been reading it. I have made it to page 114. Let me put the dust jacket on. Let me get a little bit serious. So The Midnight Library is a fantasy book about all the possibilities in your life. We meet a main character by the name of Nora. Is her name Nora? Yes, Nora is living in Bedford. I don't know, London people, UK people, what's tea? And basically her life sucks. Her life sucks. She's 35 years old. She's working at a dead-end job. Her cat just died. She doesn't have any love interest. She doesn't have anything in her life to keep her motivated. She has no friends. Her brother don't like her, and her life is terrible. She decides she doesn't want to live anymore. She is going to overdose and end her life. Well, when she is, experiencing the overdose, she ends up in this state of living and death, and it is the Midnight Library. The Midnight Library is like this library that's in your head, where if you pull a book from the shelf, you get to live out that life, and Nora can live out that life for as long as it is like nice to her. The minute she has any feeling of like regret or like depression or disappointment, then she goes back to the library where she is talking to this lady named Miss Elms. Miss Elms was her like librarian when she was younger. They used to play chess together. And basically Miss Elms knows all the possibilities of her life. Miss Elms is like all knowing, but she doesn't tell Nora anything. So Nora just has to like choose herself where she wants to go into. Miss Elms tries to steer her in the right direction. So basically this is just Nora living out different lives, the lives that she wanted to live, because there's one book called the Book of Regrets, and it is a book about all the things in your life that you have regrets over. And basically you try to like, in the Midnight Library, you try to like overcome those regrets, try to realize either those regrets weren't regrets or they were. Anyways, that's pretty much the idea of this book. I 100% get why people like these types of books. These types of books are philosophical. They make you think about your life. They make you think about your regrets. And so people like these types of books. It's very like introspective, and you get to like kind of insert yourself into these types of books. So I totally get why people like these types of books. I rarely pick up these types of books because I find them a little too easy. I don't really like books that try to hit on universal truths. Like every page has some quote that everyone can apply to their life, because it's really not saying anything that's that like taboo. It's saying stuff we all can relate to. We all have regrets. We all have things we wish we could do over. We all have different lives. We wonder what we could live. It's just a universal truth. So everyone's going to enjoy these types of books. And so I never really, have this deep love and appreciation for them, because I find them to be easy. Like, I just feel like, sure, I relate to them. Sure, I get it. And so with this book, I am enjoying this book more than I thought I would enjoy this book, but I'm still not loving it. What I am loving about this book is this book reads so easily. Like, it reads so easily. I genuinely could finish this book today. Maybe I will finish this book today. It's well written. It's well written enough. But it's also nothing mind-blowing, if you get what I'm saying. Like, for this to have such a good premise, It's nothing mind-blowing. It's nothing earth-shattering. And also, of course, I'm only on page 113, and this book probably is going to take a turn, which I hope it is. It's repetitive. Like, she keeps going into these new worlds, and, like, disappointment is still there. Like, it's hitting on the same idea. What's the idea? Like, your life is fine. It's the same way I was telling you guys in a prior vlog how I feel about books on grief. Like, you get the same message every single time. Like, get over the fact that your loved one is dead. Yes, y'all had good times, but go find community with other people. Life goes on. You still don't end your life because someone else's life has ended, right? Same message all the time. Same thing with these types of books. Like, you're never going to get the message that, hey, your life sucks. You should have did this, and you're a flop, and yeah, you should kill yourself. That's never going to be the message. The message is always going to be to appreciate the stuff that's going on in your life, because you want everyone to be able to relate to it, right? Right. And so there's nothing to take from it. There's no, like, subjectivity. It's just like, as long as it's well written, everyone likes it, right? Like, there's no big, Nora is like a self-insert. I think you could you could insert yourself into Nora's life. So, hey, if you like cats, that's even better, because Nora likes cats. Like, she's a bland enough character that you can insert yourself, but interesting enough that you can see yourself in her. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like nothing is just very specific to this novel. But I'm not having a bad time. I'm actually kind of enjoying myself. It's just like, I don't see this book being more than 4 stars, you know? It's not going to be my favorite book of all time. It's not going to change my life. But we'll see though. I am open-minded. Anyways, I am going to finish that book. And when I finish that book, I have some books to show you guys that I purchased a few weeks ago. So I need to show you guys that. But then I kind of might want to give you guys some initial thoughts on the Night Circus before I do that. We'll see how that goes. But I wanted to come and give initial thoughts. When I finish the Midnight Library, we'll come back. We'll discuss with you guys. And let's hope we're leaning more 4 than 3. I do not think this book will go down to a 2-1. I don't think this is a 2-1 book. But let's hope we're leaning more 4 instead of 3.5, because that's where I'm feeling like it could go 3.5, go 4. Let's hope we're leaning 4. I'm like, this was good. Enjoy myself. Okay. I will talk to you guys later. I got to go film some videos for my other channels. Actually, for this channel, I have to do my March wrap up for you guys. And I also need to do the book club video. Interesting. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here for a final reading update for the Midnight Library. I am going to go ahead and give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I found this book perfectly well written. It was not life-changing for me. I always tell you, like, obviously philosophical stories don't really do it for me. I would much rather this book have had an actual plot we were following, you know, and the Midnight Library being something that was a part of the plot. But I do not like to judge books on what they're not. I like to judge books on what they are. That's an actual fair criticism of a book. And I thought this book was well written. I thought it had, good ideas, good thoughts. I loved going into the different lives and all of that stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, it could have been longer for me. And maybe I would have really, really liked it even more. I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed this book. 4 out of 5 stars. I'm happy that I read it. It's a book that I'm okay, I got it, read it. I don't read books like this that often. That's good. So winner. I've read way worse, and this book was not bad at all. But I do think this is the type of book, if you could give this book to anyone, a book you could literally give to anyone and they would enjoy it. I don't see anyone reading this book and just despising it. It's very, appeals to everyone type of book. But anyway, we're going to move on to the Midnight Circus. What's that book called? The Night Circus, the Midnight Circus, the Night Circus. We're going to move on to that. I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts on that book next. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Hello, you guys. I am about to take a shower, But first, I need to give you guys a reading update for the Night Circus. Terrible angle, but you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit. I picked this book up on audio and I have made it to part 2. I'm kind of deep into part 2. So I need to come and give you guys my initial thoughts. I picked it up on audio because it was free on the Libby app. And I was just like, okay, I can do this while I can listen to this while I like do laundry and stuff and like get it done with, you know? Anyway, so in this book, we are in this magical world and there is a magical circus. This circus only comes at night and at particular times. No one knows what makes the circus come to town. No one knows what makes it leave, but there is this circus. And in this book, we are following 3 characters. So our first 2 characters, they are magical. They have magical abilities. And basically, one gets brought in by this random guy and one gets brought in by her father. And basically, they are being trained to go against each other, but they do not know each other. The 2 men who brought them in know each other, and they've decided like, hey, we're going to have a competition. We're not going to let you guys know when the competition is. We don't know when the competition is, but y'all are going to go against each other in this competition. So throughout their entire lives, they have been being trained for this competition. And then we get another POV, which is the Night Circus POV, because the Night Circus is back. The Night Circus used to be around, but now the Night Circus is back again years later. And there's this boy who is curious about the Night Circus and he lives in this town and he wants to know what's going on. My battery died, but I'm back. Anyways, so the circus is back into town. We have these two players who are going to go against each other, and I guess magical abilities. They have not met each other yet where I am at the story. One of them is more curious about the other. The guy is more curious about the girl. He has a spy going to spy on her while she is working in the circus. And basically, yeah, I'm assuming at some point they're going to meet back up. But that's what's going on. There's this mysterious circus. There's this mysterious competition. Don't know what's going on. So this reading experience is reminding me of Gideon the Ninth, because like you're just kind of thrusted into this story and like slowly you'll start to understand, I'm assuming, what's going on with these 2 people, and you're kind of just confused. You don't really know what's going on. You don't know how these characters are working. You don't know what's going on in this world. There's unexplained magic. You don't know what, like, it just all just feels kind of like blurry, like you don't know the full picture, but like slowly you're picking up on it. And the thing is, I don't like that reading experience. I don't like the reading experience of being left in the dark intentionally and like slowly everything is like made known to you. I don't mind it if like things are left out, like we have a story and then there's more to the story than I expected. I don't mind, but like you're supposed to be kind of confused reading this and it's just not my thing. That's why I'm happy I picked it up on audio, because I think if I was physically reading it, I would kind of dub it. I would kind of dub it and kind of be like, yeah, this one isn't for me. But I'm going to keep going on with it because it's like I'm not bored. Which is more than I can say for a lot of other fantasy books. I'm definitely not bored. Like I'm here. I wouldn't say I'm interested, but like I do want to know what's going on because I do want our 2 characters to meet up with each other. I read the synopsis and I know they're going to like fall in love with each other. And then they're going to realize like one of them got to die. You can kind of get that from like context clues. What else would this story be? But overall, I'm enjoying the story well enough. And yeah, I'll come back when I have more thoughts. I'm about to take off this, like I have light makeup on. I'm going to take it off and I am going to take me a shower. I will come talk to you guys in the morning when I'm further. And let's see how this book goes. It's better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought this book would be a lot more confusing, but another thing I will say, this book, I don't know how to explain it. This book reads like the year that it came out. A lot of books around this time that this book was published, I wouldn't say it's simple, but it's kind of simple. Like this came out in 2011. The prose is like kind of simple. You can tell it's for like a younger reader kind of dipping their toe into fantasy. Like it's reading young adult fantasy, but not too much. Like it's simple, but it's not like lowbrow. Like, it's written perfectly fine. It's trying to be easy to understand. Like, I could see this concept in a higher fantasy type of book. And so you can just tell that this is like for a more general audience of people, you know? And I appreciate that because I don't like high fantasy. So anyways, I need to go to bed. I don't need to go to bed. It's not that late, but I do need to take a shower. So anyways, I will come talk to you guys in the morning. And yeah, hello you guys. I am here to complain about the Night Circus. Yes, I am. So I am literally almost done with the Night Circus, quite honestly. I think I have like an hour left on the audiobook, and I'm waiting to be gooped and gagged. I'm ready for like the story to start, but I've been listening to the audiobook, and for 4 hours, I've been waiting for the story to start. Like, this book just feels like 300 pages of exposition. So like, remember the last clip, I was telling you how this whole competition, these two people have been trained to go against each other. There's this night circus that comes into town. The night circus is where they're going to duel. One of the girls works at the night circus. The dude who she's going against has been sending a spy to look into her at the night circus. Spoiler alert. Where I am in the book, they've like met each other and they've fallen in love with each other. And therein lies the issue. This is the most insta-lovey relationship I have ever seen in my life. The thing is, this book is long enough to which it didn't have to be insta-lovey. We could get moments with these two characters spending time together, bonding, and it's like, whoa, you guys love one another, and then you guys are going to have to fight to the death. But that's not what we got. We just got all of a sudden, they meet one another. It's like, you've been spying on me. I know you've been spying on me. Oh my God. And then they like each other, and now they're in love with each other. They're telling each other all their secrets. And it's just like, what's the basis for this? I don't understand the basis for this romance. Therefore, them having to duel off against each other or whatever's going to happen means absolutely nothing to me, because these two characters are nothingness. Because this book is so long, you would think we would have time to get to know both of these characters, the things they like, the things they want, the things they desire, how they feel to be a part of this competition that they didn't even choose. But we don't get that. We just get a bunch of moments with these characters, and it's just like, when are we going to get some character development? When are we going to get inside the minds of these characters, how they feel? So their motives seem weak. Their desires seem weak. I don't understand what's interesting about them. This world feels foggy. I don't really feel like I'm in this world. And it doesn't make any sense, you guys, because this book is so goddamn long. This book is 500 pages. And so I'm like, you had time to do this. You just did. I just feel like, what's her name? Erin Morgenstern spent all her time just talking. Like, this book is literally just people talking. There's no actions. There's no character development, in my opinion. It is simply just people talking. Just people talking and people explaining things to one another. And then we move on to the next thing where people talk and explain things to one another. But you would think with the explanation, we would get to know this world more. But no, I don't get this book. I'm sure the last 100 pages are going to be good because, like, it's a fantasy novel. And usually in most fantasy novels, the last 100 pages are good because it's, like, going to be action heavy. And it's a standalone fantasy novel, so you know it's probably going to be good. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, like, I found the first part of this book to be completely boring. Like, I found the beginning to be interesting, like, whoa, what's going on? But the middle of this book is such a drag, like, dragging. This one isn't for me, friends. This one I don't think it's going to be for me. But I'm going to finish it, and yeah. I rarely come in with middle of the way thoughts on a book, but, like, I'm fearing I'm going to give this book, like, 2 stars, and I want to come in and, like, explain how I'm feeling before the end. So if I do come back with a 2-star review, you're not just like, what the fuck happened, Kenya? That's what the fuck happened. I felt like there was no character development, no plot movement. People are just talking to each other. The world doesn't seem clear. There's nothing exciting about this book. This book is dreary. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyways, I will see you guys later. Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here to give final thoughts on the Night Circus. I really did not enjoy this book. The reading experience was perfectly fine. It was written well enough. That wasn't an issue, and it wasn't hard to continue reading this book. I would not jump as far as to say this book is boring. What this book is, it just feels incomplete. We are promised so many things. So we are promised this like duel between these two like powerful men that never really comes. We are promised this duel between these two like proteges, these two people who have been trained to be the most powerful magical beings that they are. That never comes. Then we are also promised this world of this night circus that's mysterious, that's all this stuff. And that really isn't all that fleshed out either. And then the thing that bothers me the most, this entire story is built on this like love story between these two people. And that is insta-lovey, and like there's nothing to really sink your teeth into. They're not interesting. And so then these two people who love each other are supposed to duel and duke it out to the death, and that doesn't come either. And then it's like, okay, the night circus might crumble, but that really doesn't happen either. Nothing happens. Nothing, like everything you're promised in this book doesn't happen. And it's just people talking to each other about the possibility of things happening for 500 pages. I do not understand how people can greatly love this book. I don't get it. I simply do not get it. I'm going to go ahead and give this book 2 out of 5 stars. I think the issues with the romance stuff is a sign of its time. I do think this book put out today would not be as loved. I think people would see issue with it. I just think we wanted good food so bad back then that we allowed for anything. This to me is just not that good of a book. I'm going to be so honest with you. If I told you everything that happened in this book, you might say that this is good, but it's just because I would be cherry picking the little things that do happen. But around those things is so much dialogue. It is so much dialogue. And it's just not that interesting. Even the character, the guy who likes to visit the circus is a mystery. Even his storyline falls flat. Every single storyline falls flat. So this is a 2 out of 5 star. That was not for me. And honestly, I wish I just went ahead and unhauled it when I thought about unhauling it. But anyway, speaking of hauls, I need to show you guys some books I bought. These 3 books have been sitting in this bag for a month. And I'm like, I need to show you guys. I'm going to finally show you guys. So the first book that I bought was Dolly Alderton, Good Material. I read the synopsis at Barnes & Noble. This is one of those Barnes & Noble books that they was shoving down your throat. Like there was a whole table and like everywhere you looked, this book was somewhere. And I read the synopsis and I was sold. I really, really like the synopsis. I think I'm really going to like this book. I think the cover is fine. Everyone's saying they love this cover. I think it's fine. It's fine. So I got that one, Good Material. Everyone I feel like has gotten their hands on that. Anyone who reads like literary fiction or something like that. One of my most anticipated books of the year. I totally forgot this was in here. I got Piglet. I really am excited to read this book. I don't know what else to say. I have been waiting for this book to come out, and then it came out, and I guess I totally forgot about it. And it was at Barnes & Noble, and it had a table, and I was like, give me her. I was so excited about this release. I saw some people who got like early copies, and they enjoyed it. So I purchased Piglet. And the last book that I purchased was The Rabbit Hutch. This is a book that I've been wanting to get for a while. I think the hardcover copy of this book is hideous, like hideous. And so I always knew I wanted it in paperback. And since I get a little bit of monies off at Barnes & Noble, I went ahead and picked it up. It seems up my alley. So these are my 3 books that I purchased a long time ago, but purchased nonetheless. So yeah, anyways, we are going to move on to radio silence, and discuss radio silence, and I will see you guys in those clips. Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here to give some intro thoughts on Radio Silence by Alice Osman. This reminds me of that reaction video of Giselle Bryant from Real Housewives of Potomac, where she's like, I get it, and then she goes into confessional. She's like, I don't get it. I don't get what's going on in this book. I don't know what's going on in this book. I am on page 150. I'm reading this physically. I'm back to reading physically. And so I'm just going to tell you what's been going on in this book. I don't know what spoilers because I don't know where the plot is going. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. But anyways, we start this book off in the past. And we have two characters who we don't know. They are on a train and they look back and their school is on fire. Someone has burned down their school. And then we go into the present day. We go to the present day and we have a main character by the name of Frances. Frances really likes this like podcast / show on YouTube called Universe City. And basically she's obsessed with this show and that's just that on that. And so we move on and we get a look into Frances' life. This book takes place in England, so I do not understand how their like education system works. So pardon my ignorance, but like she wants to go to Cambridge. She's like one of the smart, like I think it's like class president. It would be the equivalent of like class president. She's like class president, her and this other guy named Daniel. They're like it's a class president girl and a class president boy. And they're at an assembly and they're talking to one another and she really doesn't like Daniel. And then Daniel has this best friend named Alec. What is his name? Alid. And she thinks Alid is kind of weird. Like all he cares about is grades. He doesn't even go to their school, but he was giving a speech at the little assembly for reasons. And so she's just like, he's weird. And she doesn't understand why anyone would want to be best friends with Daniel because she thinks Daniel is a jerk. So one day, everyone at this high school, they go partying. And this is a big deal because Frances never goes partying. She never goes partying. And when she's out with her friends, she's not really comfortable with her friends because her friends kind of just see her as nerdy and they don't really see her as anything more than that. She doesn't feel like she can be her real self. But when she's out partying and, you know, people are drinking and stuff, she goes to, she runs into that Alec guy. And that Alec guy is like drunk off of his ass. And she ends up taking the Alec guy home. And she figures out that the Alec guy he does the Universe City, YouTube channel. He's the creator of that. And that's a big deal because no one has known anything about the Universe City guy who creates it. But this matters even more because Frances is such a fan of it. She does like fan art for the YouTube video. And she's been like showing her fan art on Tumblr and whatever. And the guy reached out to her and said he wanted her to do the fan art like officially for the podcast. So like with the podcast, instead of it just being audio, there'll be a visual for it and he wants her to do it. And she wasn't going to do it, but she's like, I should do it. And now that she knows Alid is the person who does this little podcasty thing, she's like, should I tell him it's me? Anyway, that kind of like starts their relationship, but like platonic, because this book is direct to reader in many ways. Our main character likes to break the fourth wall, if you will, and like talk to us as the reader. And she is very particular. Well, she's very conscious to tell us that her and Alid are not a love story. Like this, you are not reading a love story. Me and Alid are not going to fall in love and be together. Like that ain't this. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is this? That's the best way to explain it. I know that wasn't very streamlined, and that's because like this book is written in a very choppy way. No one has really long thoughts. Everything is said in like very short sentences. It's not like it's choppy. Everything flows, like the sentences flow together. It's not like one paragraph is about one thing and another thing. No, it all flows together. It's just no one really has very intricate thoughts. It's just like, I went to the store today and saw Alad. Alad said my dress was nice. Like everything is in very short, simple sentences, and it's intentional. And it creates this atmosphere of like questioning. Like I'm not disliking this book at all. I'm on page 153. I'm not disliking this book in any way. I just need to know what the hell is going on. Like, I'm so intrigued. Like, it's because I know I'm supposed to be confused. I'm supposed to not know what is going on. And then there's a little mystery going on because she used to be friends with Alad's sister. And we have not seen Alad's sister in the story since the school burned down, which was in the past. And people keep bringing her up, but like, where the hell is she? We don't know. And something definitely happened between the two of them because it keeps getting like referred to. So interesting things going on there. Something really interesting about this book. I don't know when this book came out. I think in 2017. But this book is supposed to take place in like 2012. And it feels so 2012. Like I was a big Tumblr girl. And a lot of this book is talking about Tumblr and stuff like that. And it just feels like it's doing that bizarrely well, like really, really well. Like it's taking you back to 2012 and the stuff that was happening in 2012. And it's so interesting because for so many people who write books now to have like come of age in the early 2010s, we don't get a lot of books from the early 2010s. We don't get a lot of media from the early 2010s. That like Tumblr fandom type era of like pop culture, that like Kendrick Lamar coming up, the J. Cole's coming up. Like we don't get a lot of stuff from that time. And so this is doing that really well. Like the way they're talking about keep calm and carry on, you know, mustache. Like it's talked about, like people talk about that era because it's such a like era, but no, you don't get much media in that era. Like people going back and reflecting on that era through media. And so I find that to be really interesting and really well done. I'm in it. There's something really mysterious about this book, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm reading. I don't know what I'm supposed to take from this, but I'm here. It's quite enjoyable. It's quite enjoyable ride. Anyways, those are my thoughts. When I read a little bit more, things make a little bit more sense. I might come back and talk to you guys. I don't know, but yeah. That's interesting. That's an interesting one, but I'm happy I read it. I'm happy I did not unhaul this when I intended to unhaul, because like this is an interesting reading experience. Anyways, I have a roast cooking. Let's actually vlog like how people actually vlog. I never pick up my camera and like actually vlog with you guys. I have a roast cooking. Yes, it's late. I have a roast cooking in there. I was gonna make some brownies, and then I realized I didn't have any vegetable. So that's not gonna happen tonight, which is fine. I'll eat an ice cream sandwich or something tonight because I do want something sweet. But I'm about to go take a shower. Then I'm gonna eat my roast, and then I'm gonna call it. I might try to read 50 more pages of Radio Silence. I don't know. And I kind of want to get a load of laundry going, but that's pretty much how I'm gonna spend my night. I will talk to you guys tomorrow with some more Radio Silence thoughts. Peace.
We drumming. My family live and died in America. Good old USA. Fuck it, we shaking. We swimming. We jerking. We twerking. You wanna touch it, don't you? Come get this genie in the bottle. Come rub it, won't you? I pop it. I walk it like I talk it. I got your spurs walking. Let loose. Do what you do, baby. Good God. I don't wanna hear no yeah. I got you daydreaming. Put your lips on my lip and strum me like.
Hello, you guys. I am here to give you guys my final thoughts on Radio Silence by Alice Osman. I really enjoyed this book. What I enjoyed the most about this book was the writing style of this book. This book had this like mysterious, almost ominous, scary feel to it. Like you never really knew what you were reading or what was going on. It almost was like you were left at an arm's length, but intentionally, and it made everything that happened just hit you a little bit more than you were expecting it to. This book had an emotional element to it that I wasn't expecting to be affected by, but I really was. There's a phone call between our main character, Frances, and her friend Aled. He's at university and he hasn't been answering her calls for a while, but he finally answers her calls and he's just talking to her. And something about it was just really like, it hit me in a really weird way. And I was like, this is so, why am I affected by this? But I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. The reason why this book does not get the full 5 stars, maybe I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Either I'm going to move Midnight Library to 3.5 and put this at 4, or move this to 4.5 and keep Midnight Library at 4. I don't know, because I did like this book more than I liked Midnight Library, so I do not think they should have the same ranking. But the reason why this book doesn't get 5 out of 5 stars, even though about 70% of the way through I thought I was going to give it 5 stars, is because this book kind of has like a plot twist, a mystery that isn't mysterious. Like I feel like anyone reading this book knows what this book is like trying to do. Like whatever the mystery is, we all have solved it. It's not really a mystery. And whenever books play something as a mystery, but it's not mysterious in any way, everyone knows the thing that's going on, it feels corny. It feels really corny when it is finally revealed, and the book treats it as if it's some big reveal, when in reality, girl, we already knew this was it. So I did not like that. But overall, I'm going to give this book 4.5 stars. Yeah, I'm going to give this book 4.5 stars and keep Midnight Library at 4. I enjoyed this book. I am happy I did not unhaul this book. So yeah, that is that on that. We are going to move on to the last book in this video. Finally, if you guys knew how long I have been doing this video, usually my vlogs are weekly vlogs. We passed a week 4 days ago. We passed a week 4 days ago. We are going to read Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I already started this book, and I will come with my initial thoughts once I have some. I really don't even have initial thoughts right now, but once I do, I will come to you with those. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Peace.
We drumming. Ladies, fuck it, we shaking, we swimming, like I talk it. I got your spurs sparking. Let loose. Do what you do, baby. Good God, I don't wanna hear no yeah.
Hello, you guys. I am sitting here and I am reading Vicious. I'm actually in the last phase of reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and I need to come and give you my thoughts on this book. Okay, so in this book, we are following two people by the name of Victor and Eli. 10 years ago, Victor and Eli went to the same college, and at this college, they allowed them to do experimental experiments. So they tried to break the status quo of life of how we understand things, and they do these types of experiments to prove that things aren't as they seem, or you can see life in a different way. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but Eli writes a thesis, and his thesis is that you can bring people back from the dead, or you can get powers. If you have a near-death experience, you can gain some type of power. And so basically, Victor goes, you should try to prove your theory correct. Instead of it just being a theory, we should see if we can do this. So Victor and Eli start to do tests and basically have near-death experiences to see if they can come back and do they have special abilities. Eli is able to do it, and he gets special abilities. And so that just is what it is. Eli has special abilities, but he's not very comfortable with his special abilities. And Victor doesn't have it. And Victor gets upset that all of his experiments fail. So Eli runs off because Eli doesn't want anything to do with this. He doesn't want his special abilities. But Victor, he keeps on trying. He keeps on trying to have special abilities. And he enlists Eli's girlfriend to help him get special abilities, because when you have a near-death experience, someone has to bring you back because you don't want to actually die. And so he ends up doing the experiment. He has a near-death experience. He gets powers, and something happens where he ends up killing Eli's girlfriend. He kills Eli's girlfriend. He calls Eli and says, "Hey, I killed your girlfriend." And so Eli turns him into the police because you're weird. And so Victor goes off to jail for 10 years. Well, Victor has escaped from jail, and Eli has been killing people. That's kind of where the story is. So there's a lot of people. They're called EOs. What's EO stand for? What does EO stand for? It's something really simple. Extraordinary. There's other extraordinary people who have special abilities because they had near-death experiences. And basically, Eli is trying to kill all of them. He is working with the police to try to kill all of them because of everything that has happened in his life. Victor killing his girlfriend. And Victor has broken out of jail, and he's looking for Eli. I guess he wants get back. And he has enlisted the help of a EO name, starts with an S. What's her name? It won't say. He has enlisted the help of someone Eli tried to kill, this girl Eli tried to kill, to help him. So basically we have two sides working against one another. We have Victor and this girl who he tried to kill, who's an EO. They're working together. And then you have Eli and also that girl's sister. She's also working with Eli, I believe. And they're kind of going head to head. But the thing is, Eli doesn't necessarily want to get at Victor that bad. Victor wants to get back at Eli. Eli wants to eradicate all EOs. And so he's killing all the EOs that he can, and anyone who sees him kill these EOs. And so it's this cat and mouse game between these two sides, this good and evil, who's good, who's evil, that type of thing. That sounds really fun. And anytime I've seen someone describe Vicious, I always thought the premise was fun. That's why I got my hands on the book. The thing is, I think it's more fun as an idea than this book is. This book is not that fun. This book reads very medicinal. It reads very sterile. there's no, the writing is good, but it's not exciting. This is not an exciting book. You just feel like you're going from scene to scene. And I don't really feel like I know anything about any of these characters. Like, I'm just reading what they're doing, how they feel, but there's nothing. I feel like this book doesn't have a very interesting tone. Not a good narrative voice. There's just nothing exciting about this book. There's nothing stylized about this book. And so it just feels very there. I'm probably going to give this book 3 stars, 3.5, maybe. The story is good. There's a good story there. It's nothing you want to stop, but I just don't see myself having this deep love for it because it needs a bounce to it. It needs an excitement to it because this is such a ridiculous premise, right? It's such a ridiculous premise. They're bringing people back from the dead, people getting shot at, stabbed, and everything else in between almost on every single page. And so you want more fun, but this book is not fun. This book is very dark, but not even dark in a like moody type of way that you could like. It's just very, like I said, medicinal. It's just very, this is what's going on. This is why it's going on. And boom, like I don't know. I feel like you don't really have time to get campy. That's what I think. I think this book needs more campiness to it. And it's just not that exciting of a book. And that's what's making me not like deeply love it. You know, because I think this book could just be more fun. The characters could be, they are outrageous. So that's what it is. The characters are outrageous. And the situation they're in are outrageous. But the book doesn't treat them like they're outrageous. The book treats them earnestly. And I think it takes away from it takes away from the book being a lot more exciting. Because everything is treated in a very earnest way. Which is rare that I say that because I usually like when books play but there's something about this book is just kind of like boring. It's kind of like watching paint dry a little bit. And it doesn't have to be because this book reads like the Night Circus. This book reads like the Night Circus, and that makes no sense because the Night Circus in some ways is intentionally dreary and sad and ominous. And this book doesn't have to be that way. It's crazy. I feel like Radio Silence, Vicious, and the Night Circus all have almost the same exact feeling. They're written in the same exact way, but I understand it more in Radio Silence because Radio Silence is about this mysterious podcast. So it makes sense to have this like, you know, very cut and dry way of telling the story because you're supposed to feel a certain way as you're reading it. It has mystery to it. And the Night Circus is the same way because you're dealing with this magical night circus no one knows anything about. And it takes place in London and everyone's sad and dreary. It makes sense. I don't understand why this book is like that. It's just not working for me. So anyways, I'm going to finish this book and come back with final thoughts and we'll wrap up all of these. I wanted to say the thesis of this video is, do these books hold up? Did BookTube have good taste? And we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it in the next clip, okay? Peace. Hello, you guys. I am here to finally wrap this video up. I finished Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I'm going to go ahead and give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a fine book. I did not hate it, but I definitely did not love it. I just didn't find the book all that compelling. The overall story I didn't find very clever. I didn't find the way that the story unfolded to be all that interesting, and it just really kind of let me down. Honestly, it was a little disappointing because I think the plot of this, the idea is really, really good. I think having these two ex-friends come together and kind of like duel off in a battle of really ideas and morals and see who kind of wins out. I thought that was really good, and it engages the reader to think, oh, who's right and who's wrong. But the problem is I don't think we get to know Eli and Victor as characters very, very well before they get their powers when they're just students and all of that. So everything that's happening 10 years later in that timeline just kind of just feels like, okay, it lacks stakes. I don't think you really ever care about Victor or Eli and the other two characters that, you know, are kind of tagging along with them. You don't really care, but I would actually say I ended up caring about the two sisters more than I cared about Victor and Eli. I don't know. I think that this book, because I guess, so the idea of this video was like, do these books hold up? We're going to start with Vicious because I'm holding it. I do not think if this book came out in 2024, people would love it the way they did when it originally came out. This is why. This book came out when a lot of people were reading young adult. That was the young adult era of BookTube. Everybody was reading young adult books. And so when you got a book like Vicious, I remember a lot of people talking about how this book was more adult. It was adult leaning, you know, it was dealing with deeper themes, more grotesque things happening. There's a lot of like murder on the page, which you don't really get in young adult, definitely not young adult back then. And so I think a lot of people gravitated towards it because it was their first time dipping their toe into like adult science fiction. And even though this is light adult science fiction, that's what this would be. And so a lot of people like really went up for it. But if more people knew back then that they should probably lean their reading more adult than being so bogged down in young adult, they would not have been as impressed by this book. So I just think you would have to go back in time to the era that this book was popular on BookTube and understand that a lot of people were just reading young adult science fiction, young adult fantasy, young adult contemporary, and this book kind of broke that mold a little bit. So people were just like, oh my gosh, new adult / adult science fiction. So they got excited, but this is just not that interesting, I think, outside of that. So no, I do not think this book holds up as being like this amazing book. It's not an amazing book. I'm sorry. The next book that we have is The Midnight Library. This book came out in like 2020. This book does hold up. I think this book came out at a time where a lot of people were looking for hope, a lot of understanding in life, and I still think it does that. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I understand why this book got popular when this book came out. And also, a lot of people don't, definitely on BookTube, a lot of people don't lean towards books like this on BookTube. These like philosophical, love your life type of books. This is very like, you know, book clubby, adult book clubby type books, which we've seen more, I think, people lean towards on BookTube and Book Talk in recent years. But I think this kind of broke a mold per se with that. Now, is this up my alley? No, I know I don't like books like this. I know that books like this are not towards me. I've read books like this many times. Books that have a message that we should all love each other and love our lives. So if the characters are good, sure, I could be on board with it. But like, you're going to have to give me a little bit more. And I don't know if this book gives a little bit more. But I do think this book holds up. I do think this is a book most people would enjoy. So yeah, The Night Circus. Does The Night Circus hold up? I don't like this book. I do not like this book. This is the worst book that I read in this video. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. By the way, I gave The Midnight Library 4 out of 5 stars. I do not like this book. Do I think that this book holds up? No, I do not think that this book holds up. I think this is a book that a lot of people said they enjoyed in the time. So more people started saying they enjoy in the time. And the reason why this book fell off is because people realized it wasn't all that interesting. Like, I could see people enjoying this book. This book has a romance element. It's kind of mysterious in a way. And it's fantasy. I could see people liking this book, but like loving it. I think the people who love this book, it's because there's nostalgia attached to it. So they loved it when they read it when they were younger. But I just don't think in the year 2024, you can pick up this book and just like love it if you are somebody who reads a lot of books. I just don't think it elicits that type of fanfare. And someone who routinely reads books, it just ain't that good. It just ain't that good. I just don't see how it could be more than 3.5 stars for anybody. And I'm giving it a 2. It just was not for me. So no, I do not believe The Night Circus holds up. I think in many ways it was of its time, but that does not mean I think it's poorly written. Well, that's lying. I do think it's poorly written. I think the romance is underdeveloped. I think a lot of plot lines get dropped, and I think it's not an overall story. So like, actually, I do think it's poorly written. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. The book I think that holds up the most is Radio Silence. Radio Silence 100% holds up in every single way. I think this book actually holds up more now than it did in its time. I think more people should go back and revisit Radio Silence. We have gotten a lot of books like Radio Silence in recent years where It's no big heavy plot. There's no big heavy plot. You're just following characters around. You're following characters around, and they're not really doing anything, but it's just the relationship that they have with each other and them dealing with the trauma that they have. And that's the story. And this book does it well. This book has like a podcast element inside of it, which we really didn't get much of in this time. The main character of this book is a Black person. So boom, that's another thing that makes this book hold up. And it just works. It works. It's not a romance book. It's not a romance book. Like, everything about this book 100% holds up. I think this book was actually kind of ahead of its time. I 100% think this book holds up. I think more people should go back and revisit this book. Radio Silence was a treat. It was a treat, and it's the best book in this video. Anyways, that is the 4 books that we read. I will see you guys in the next one.